I knew I was living my life right when somebody looked me dead in my face after telling them that we were going to go to South Africa and like do Africa at least once a year, every year. And we were talking about all of our vacation plans. And they looked at me and they said, I can't wait till y'all have kids. So y'all can sit down. Because what type of hater ass miserable, I want you to be miserable ass shit is that? And with that, I am going to have a pool day with my girls. We're going to drink and eat until our heart's desire. And yeah, so
I'm gonna say something very controversial, but motherhood is a scam. Too many women have been lied to and deceived by society about motherhood. Everyone is celebrating being a mother, it's secret, it's divine, but no one has told women how hard motherhood actually is. I'm not a mom, but I'm a daughter and a friend to many other women. I have seen my own mother and a lot of my other girlfriends sacrifice their lives to motherhood. So my best friend just had a daughter 2 months ago, and she told me, Jessie, I know you don't want kids. If that's your plan, stick to it. Don't change your mind. And mind you, my friend actually got support. So when the baby was born, for the first month, she got a nanny living with them, taking care of the baby 24/7. She didn't have to lift a finger except for feeding the baby. And now her husband's parents are living with them, cleaning, cooking. She doesn't need to do much, but still she told me it's exhausting and her body is starting to have all the low problems. And not even to mention she lost a great career opportunity because of this. So my friend works in this big Chinese company, top tier in the industry. Her boss really values her because my friend is really good at what she does and she's ambitious. So her boss wants to send her to the US to manage the North American business. So she only needs to stay in the US for 2 to 3 years and then return back to China. Immediate promotion to higher leadership position. So basically the rest of her life is set. You know, you don't need to work hard anymore. You can just lay back, chill, great money, easy life. And now all of that is gone because you can't just leave your newborn baby and go to the US. And my friend told me her daughter is the best thing ever happened to her. She loves her so much. She wouldn't trade anything in the world with her daughter like all the other mothers. But still, she told me, you know what, being child-free is kind of nice. So
child-free women are never going to get celebrated the way that mothers do because mothers see single and child-free women as just something to essentially exploit. And when I got my very first job after getting my degree, I had noticed this in all of the women that had children. Please let me know if you've had this experience, but I would notice this especially during the holidays. If you work a job where you are not closed during the holidays, one of the number one things that women will try to weaponize is the fact that they have children and that they have a family. And if you work in a field where picking up weekends is like kind of a rotational thing, one thing that I would always notice with the mothers is that they would always weaponize the fact that they had children and that they had a family, especially if their children were very young. Well, you're single and you don't have anybody, and so you should feel obligated to want to pick up the holidays, right? Why should I have to work the holiday when I have a child? I should be able to spend, the holidays with my family. So me not having a child means that I don't have a family either. Me not having a child means that I don't have loved ones and people that I enjoy spending with that I would want to see for the holidays either. Mothers really want to feel vindicated in the fact that they chose to be a mother, that they feel as though child-free women are indebted to pay them off for the sacrifice and the choice that they made for being a mother. They also would do this when it would come to working overtime, right? Like if you wanted to work overtime and you had the ability to be able to because you didn't have children, sometimes they would get upset. Oh, well, that's not fair that you're working. It's not fair that you're working so much overtime. Or it would be the complete opposite, right? It was always just some type of complaint. Or if they had an issue with their child, they would feel as though you were indebted to them to have to stay later at work because I have to leave work and I have to leave work because my child is sick. And so now because of that, you have to stay at work later. And it's like, your children are not my problem. Your children are not the company's fucking problem either. A lot of mothers believe that because they chose to do the hard thing, everyone that chose to not do the same thing as them should be kissing the floor that they walk on and wiping their asses and kissing it at the same time. You choosing to be a mother was a personal decision. And the women that choose to not have children are not indebted to you, okay? Women that chose to have children do not owe you anything simply because you perceive for their life to be less fulfilling or more free, or we don't have to have responsibility. It is not our job to pick up the slack of the more responsibility that women that decided to have children have.
Women asking, what do women in their 30s even do if they don't have kids? Honestly, it's dangerous. Being childless in your 20s is one thing, even your late 20s, but in your 30s, and I think it's for this reason and this reason only that no one really talks about. In your 20s, you're literally graduating college, you're trying to figure out what you want to do in life, establish some type of career, you're starting out in a job, whatever, trying to figure out your living situation. But it's dangerous because once you're in your 30s, you have adult money. And when you're childless, guess what? That turns into adult fun money. You've been in a job long enough. You've climbed the career ladder. You know, you're making good money at this point in life probably. And it's like, ooh. So like, yeah, if I want to go on a cruise next week with my fellow teacher bestie, who's also childless, guess what? We can. If I want to go out to dinner every night because I don't feel like cooking, I can. If I want to sit home in silence in the AC and rot on my couch, I can. And I'm sorry, people can argue that that's selfish, but it's not at all. It's my own choice, just like you made a choice.
Anytime I have discussions with people about having kids or not having kids, the people who are conscientiously deciding not to have children have thought through every possible scenario as to why or why not they would want children. Like, the level of forethought comes from a deeply selfless place. And I think it takes a lot of humility and courage to even say to yourself, like, oh, if I can't do this one thing 100% perfect and it's not going to make me happy, well, you know what? Maybe I don't want to be a disservice to my child. Like, you got to be really self-aware to decide that, hey, maybe motherhood or fatherhood's not for me. And coincidentally, those are all the skills that would make a great parent, but I just think that's funny.
Parents who are mad at child-free content on here are actually just mad at themselves, because that content is a reminder that they had another choice. And that can be extremely triggering, especially for women who are realizing that motherhood is not what they were promised. So to already feel this way and then come on here and see women actively avoiding the lifestyle decision that they made is jarring, because one, it feeds into this already existing insecurity that they have, and two, it is not giving them that external validation that they believed that they were going to receive once they started having kids. Child-free women will always be a threat to the message that a woman's main purpose in life is to have children. And this message is so deeply ingrained into our society that it does take an immense amount of effort, critical thinking, intention, and research and courage to challenge whether you as an individual want that for yourselves. And the majority of child-free women have done this. They have reflected on what motherhood could look like for them, and they have decided that it is not for them and that that path is not right for them, despite the repercussions, such as people online being upset with their decision. I will say this time and time again. It is not enough to have kids simply because you were taught to want kids, because the people around you are having kids and you want to fit in, because you think the aesthetic is cute, because you think it is the next step in your life. Having a child, motherhood, those things are going to irrevocably change your life. Do your research and check in on yourself before making such a big and permanent decision, because you deserve to create a life that reflects exactly what you want to do and what you want from it.
People still ask me if I'm going to have kids. I'm 38. My husband and I have been together over 11 years, and we have never said we were going to have kids. We've always said we are not going to have kids. I've thought about it a lot. I have really thought about it. Even though I've never pictured myself being a mother, I still have thought a lot about it, just because growing up in Utah and just being a woman, it's almost like expected. But so I have thought about it a lot, and my answer is still no, it's not for me. It's not for me. I've mulled it over. I've thought a lot about it, and I can't think of a reason why I would do that. It sounds like the hardest job in the world. I think it is the hardest job in the world. To be a parent, hardest job in the world. So nothing sounds appealing to me about being a mom. And I know that's crazy for parents, because they're like, what? It's the greatest love you'll ever know. And it's like, yeah, but I won't know. I don't know what I don't know. So I won't know what I'm missing out on. I love my dogs more than life itself. I love my nephews more than life itself. I love myself and my freedom and my husband more than life itself. And I just don't feel like it's for us, So I don't think I'm changing my mind. Mothers out there, you guys are incredible. Fathers too, mostly mothers though, let's be real. Mothers are the most important humans on earth. And I just know I'm not. one of them, you know?
Hey, so I'm seeing some mothers, not all mothers, complaining about how child-free people talk about people that have kids. First of all, we do not disparage mothers on my page. We are not mean to mothers. If you want to be a mom, that's great. I support you. Do you, as long as you know that that's what you want and that's what will make you happy and you're prepared for it. It's your life and that affects me nada. But I'd like to say that the way people who have children talk to and about people who intentionally choose to be child-free is so much worse. We will never be celebrated the way you all are celebrated. People who intentionally choose to be child-free, especially women, will always be called irresponsible, will always be called selfish so long as patriarchy is in place. And again, I'm not saying that we should be mean to women who are mothers or want to be mothers. That is an insane conclusion to draw from what I'm saying. But I am saying that you all need to be more supportive and kinder to people who choose to be child-free intentionally. And please, for the love of all that's good, stop trying to push parenthood on people who do not want it. If you're happy, again, that's great. But parenthood, motherhood, is not for everyone. This world would be an incredibly dull place if we all wanted to do the same thing with our lives. So yeah, leave child-free people alone, especially child-free women. Thanks.
As a woman who confidently does not want children, the top question I get asked is, well, who's going to take care of you when you're older? And as an adult ICU nurse, taking care of your elderly parents and watching them die alone every single day, that does not mean your children will be taking care of you when you're older. Tons of different circumstances can happen all throughout life. What if you piss your kid off at some point? What if your kid pisses you off at some point? What if you go no contact with them at some point? What if your child is not able to take care of you when you're older? What if your child has a mental or physical disability and they're unable to care for you? What if they just don't like you and don't want to be there holding your hand while you're on your deathbed? I can't tell you the amount of times I have had to hold someone's hand and watch them die alone without their children. I guarantee at some point they thought their children would be there taking care of them when they got older.
My favorite thing that people say to me when I say I don't want to have kids is, just wait until you're 30. You'll want kids as soon as you turn 30. Like, something just changes and you just want kids. See, I'm 29 and a half. 29 and a half. The amount that I want kids is still at 0%. Negative percentage. None. I don't want them at all. And people are like, oh, why don't you want kids? And I'm like, I just literally don't want them. Like, there's no part of me that's like, I want a kid. I have no innate desire to produce a human being. I want to be a parent. I don't want to have to parent a human. Like, I just don't want to. It's as simple as that. I could give you a laundry list of all of like the nitty gritty million reasons that have added up to me not wanting to. But there's like 2 levels of not wanting to. There's like the fundamental base desire to have a child, which I don't have. And then there are about 1 million reasons I've stacked up that just make me double down on that initial feeling. Anyway, that's one of the reasons I absolutely cannot wait to be 30, so that when people are like, oh, when you turn 30, you'll want kids. And then I can be like, bitch, I'm 31. Now what are you gonna say? When I'm 32, I'll want a kid. When I'm 33, I'll want a kid. I don't want them. It's not happening.
I'm 37, divorced, and I don't want children. And that doesn't sit right with a lot of people. Sometimes it doesn't even sit right with some of my friends. When I tell them I don't want kids, they say, oh, you never know. Never say never. Maybe you'll change your mind. And I say, no, I won't change my mind. And I find it kind of offensive that people don't think I know my own mind at 37 years old, and that perhaps something is wrong with me, that I will change sides and fall into line and go onto the right side, which is wanting kids. No one ever says that to people that have kids. Oh, I have kids. Oh, well, perhaps you'll change your mind and you won't want kids in the future. But yet when I say I'm 37 and I've made the conscious decision, I've had 3 years of therapy, I've done a lot of soul searching, and I've looked deep within myself about whether or not I want to be a mother, and I've decided I don't want to be a mother. And without missing a beat, they say, well, you might change your mind.
It was actually becoming financially free that made me realize that I do not want kids. Like, I always felt a little bit unsure about my decision to not have kids, mostly because other people told me that like once I reached a certain age, I would just change my mind. But I also spent most of my 20s pretty broke, so I kind of thought in my head, like, maybe once I make a certain amount of money and I have like the resources to have children, then I'll want to do it. Actually, the exact opposite happened, because once I started making money and once I had the freedom and the flexibility and the luxury that came with that, more and more I realized, oh my God, I don't want to give that up. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter how much help you have. At some point, if you are going to be a present parent, you're going to be dealing with meltdowns. You're going to be dealing with messy fingers. You're going to be dealing with waking up in the middle of the night, doing things you don't want to do. And yes, maybe that sounds selfish to some people, but in my opinion, it's a lot more selfish to have a child and realize that after you already have them than to just be self-aware and honest with the fact that, like, if you don't want to do something, you don't have to. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You should never feel guilty about that decision, because I'm sorry, there is no worse person to be around than somebody who is resentful of their life choices.
My pregnant coworker just told me that brushing her teeth makes her throw up. Not scrubbing her tongue, brushing her teeth every single day, it makes her throw up. I said, so what do? You can't just brush your teeth again, you'll throw up. She said, I try to use mouthwash, but sometimes that makes me throw up also. I said, surely this is a you thing, this can't be a common thing. She said, no, Google it. It's a fairly common thing. If you were looking for another reason to not have kids, this is it.